Catholicism is rising like a flame rekindled in the winds of our century, burning brighter in lands once thought cold to faith. And this renewal is unfolding in places few would expect. In this countdown of 10 nations, where Catholicism is the fastest growing faith, we uncover stories of revival that go far beyond statistics. From bustling new economies to regions where the church once seemed only a shadow, this movement is a tide of hope, reshaping cultures, lifting communities, and drawing millions closer to Christ. These countries reveal that the seeds of faith, even when sown in rocky soil, can take root and flourish with stunning power. As we journey through this remarkable transformation, see why Catholicism's growth stands among the most profound religious stories of our age. So before we begin, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and join us as we reveal where the Catholic faith is spreading faster than ever. Number 1. The Democratic Republic of the Congo. In the very heart of Africa lies a nation where Catholicism is not just practiced, but lived as the pulse of society. With tens of millions of faithful, the DRC holds the largest Catholic population on the continent, a presence so vast that the church has become woven into nearly every aspect of daily life. Here, Catholicism does far more than gather people on Sundays. It builds classrooms where chalk dust rises like incense, teaching generations of children who might otherwise never hold a book. More than half of the country's primary education is carried by the church, and its reach extends into secondary schools, shaping future leaders long before they ever step into public office. Step into the villages and towns, and the church is also the physician. Across the countryside, hundreds of Catholic hospitals and clinics serve as lifelines where government services are scarce, offering vaccinations, maternal care, and even emergency surgery under fragile conditions. In a nation often tested by poverty and instability, these sanctuaries of healing embody faith turned into action. Yet the strength of the Congolese church does not stop at institutions. It beats in the voices of its people. Parish life is vibrant and overflowing. Choirs that shake the rafters with song, youth groups that march into streets with banners of peace, and local communities that transform worship into movements for justice and reconciliation. In regions scarred by conflict, priests and lay leaders often become mediators, standing courageously between divided groups and calling for unity where bitterness has long taken root. Perhaps most striking is the surge of vocations. Seminaries across the DRC are filled beyond capacity, signaling a new generation ready to shepherd the faithful. This flourishing of priests and religious men and women ensures that the church is not simply preserving tradition. It is actively preparing to guide the future of an entire nation. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Catholicism is less an institution and more a backbone of identity, a force that educates, heals, reconciles, and inspires. It is here, in one of the most complex and resilient corners of the world, that the faith is writing one of its most dynamic chapters. Number 2. Nigeria. In West Africa's most populous nation, Catholicism stands like a tower of light against storms of violence, poverty, and political unrest. With over 30 million faithful, Nigeria is home to the second largest Catholic community on the continent, surpassed only by the Congo. What sets it apart is not just the numbers, but the intensity of devotion. Parishes where Sunday worship fills beyond capacity and mass attendance climbs to levels almost unmatched anywhere in the world. This vitality is sustained by a church that invests deeply in its youth. From catechism halls to bustling parish centers, thousands of young people gather to learn, sing, serve, and discover a sense of identity anchored in faith. These programs extend beyond instruction. They provide safe havens in unstable times, spaces for friendship, and platforms for leadership, cultivating a generation both resilient and hopeful. Such growth is all the more striking in the face of constant threat. Extremist violence has targeted churches and believers, yet Nigerian Catholics continue to worship with a courage that turns every Mass into both a prayer and a defiance. Courtyards overflow with choirs and congregations whose voices rise in hymns louder than the fear around them, creating a worship life that is at once exuberant and unbreakable. Nigeria's role is also shifting from recipient to sender. In once a mission field for Europe and America, it now produces missionaries who travel to neighboring countries and even Western nations, carrying with them a living witness born of perseverance. This reversal reflects not only growth, but confidence. A church that has been tested by fire now dares to bring its flame to the world. Beyond its spiritual life, Nigeria's Catholic Church shapes society through education and advocacy. Thousands of schools nurture discipline and integrity, forming leaders who influence government, business, and academia. Bishops, often outspoken, stand as moral voices for justice and human dignity, ensuring that the church is not only a sanctuary for prayer, but also a conscience for the nation. Number 3, Uganda. Uganda's Catholic Church, with nearly 17 million faithful, about a third of the nation, has become one of Africa's most vibrant centers of growth. Its roots run deep into the soil of sacrifice, nourished by the memory of the Uganda martyrs, whose courage in the face of brutal persecution still stirs the conscience of believers today. Each year, vast crowds journey to the martyrs' shrine at Namugongo. What begins as a solemn act of remembrance becomes a living tide of worship, where millions walk together in song and prayer, reminded that faith is not only inherited, but demanded as mission. The strength of this community lies in its energy and renewal. Families are formed in catechesis that binds generations, while youth programs channel the passion of the young into leadership, evangelization, and service. The result is a church alive with vitality, where faith is not static memory but daily movement. Beyond worship, the Catholic presence is woven into Uganda's social fabric. Schools and hospitals run by the church stand as pillars in both cities and remote villages, where parishes often double as classrooms, clinics, and gathering halls. These centers provide knowledge, healing, and solidarity, proving that the gospel here is expressed as much in action as in prayer. Uganda's Catholic story is one of martyrdom transfigured into mission, a witness sustained by youth, families, and communities who carry faith into every corner of life. Number 4, Tanzania. In East Africa, Tanzania stands as a quiet yet powerful story of Catholic growth, where over a third of the population now embraces the faith. This rise is fueled not only by demographics, but by a missionary spirit deeply woven into the nation's cultural fabric, turning the gospel into a lived reality of daily life. Across rural and underserved regions, Catholic missions serve as more than places of prayer. They are schools where children discover opportunity, clinics where the sick find care, and training centers where farmers learn to sustain their land. Here, faith is not preached in isolation, but lived through education, healthcare, and development, making the church indispensable to entire communities. The liturgy itself reflects this union of tradition and belief. Masses filled with Swahili hymns and rhythmic dances embody both the joy of the gospel and the pride of Tanzanian identity. This integration of culture and worship fosters a sense of belonging that strengthens both faith and heritage. Equally striking is the surge of vocations. Seminaries are crowded with young men preparing for priesthood, while new religious houses welcome women ready to serve. These vocations ensure that the church's leadership is not only spiritually grounded, but also rooted in the rhythms, languages, and struggles of their people. Tanzania's Catholicism is therefore more than numbers. It is a lived force that educates, heals, preserves culture, and raises new generations of leaders for both church and society. Number 5, Kenya. Kenya is home to nearly 18 million Catholics, about 40% of its people, making the church one of the most influential forces in the nation. While census figures suggest a slight percentage drop, the reality tells a different story. The Catholic population continues to grow rapidly in sheer numbers, expanding its reach and deepening its impact. Here, the church is more than a place of worship. It is a voice in the nation's conscience. Catholic leaders have spoken boldly against corruption, a wound that has long hindered Kenya's progress, calling for honesty, transparency, and accountability at every level of governance. In moments of political unrest or ethnic tension, parishes and bishops step forward as peacemakers, urging dialogue and reconciliation where division once threatened to tear communities apart. Education has become one of the Church's greatest legacies. Catholic schools, among the finest in Kenya, shape generations not only in academics but in moral conviction. From these classrooms emerge future doctors, entrepreneurs, and public servants who carry with them a formation grounded in justice and responsibility. In Nairobi and other cities, parish life is alive with youth movements, choirs, and social initiatives. Young believers rally around causes of environmental care, justice for the poor, and empowerment programs that give them a sense of belonging and mission. Meanwhile, in rural dioceses, parishes often serve as the only centers for health services, literacy training, and interfaith cooperation, building bridges of respect across cultural and religious lines. Kenya's Catholic story is not defined by shifting statistics, but by its living presence. Parishes alive with worship, schools shaping leaders, and communities strengthened by a faith that speaks to both the spirit and the future of the nation. Number 6. The Philippines. The Philippines stands as Asia's Catholic heart, home to over 90 million faithful, making it the largest Catholic nation on the continent and the third largest worldwide. Here, Catholicism is not merely practiced. It is lived with a vibrancy that spills into the rhythm of daily life. Faith is woven into the nation's celebrations and streets. The Black Nazarene procession in Manila draws throngs of barefoot pilgrims pressing through the city with chants and prayers. Devotion to the Santo Niño fills parishes with childlike joy. And Simbang Gabi, the beloved series of dawn masses before Christmas, unites communities in song, lantern light, and anticipation. Each devotion is more than ritual. It is a mirror of Filipino identity, where faith and culture move as one. But the Catholic spirit of the Philippines reaches far beyond its shores. Millions of overseas Filipino workers carry rosaries in their luggage and customs in their hearts, spreading traditions from Rome to Riyadh, Los Angeles to London. In this way, the Filipino diaspora has become a living mission field, turning workplaces, homes, and parishes abroad into small extensions of their homeland's faith. At home, the Church remains a cornerstone of national life. Catholic schools and universities, renowned for academic excellence, form generations of leaders who are grounded not only in knowledge, but in moral conviction. Parish initiatives stretch into the poorest neighborhoods and the most disaster-prone provinces, providing food, shelter, and social advocacy where government resources often fall short. In the Philippines, Catholicism is both sanctuary and catalyst, rooted in tradition yet alive in action, shaping a nation with devotion, resilience, and joy. Number 7. Brazil. Brazil, the world's largest Catholic nation, is home to more than 180 million faithful, nearly two-thirds of its people. Nowhere else on earth does Catholicism carry such weight, woven into every layer of the country's culture and daily rhythm. In the depths of the Amazon, missionaries glide along winding rivers in small boats, bringing sacraments, schooling, and medical aid to indigenous villages otherwise cut off from modern services. Far to the south, in São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, parishes burst with life as charismatic renewal movements draw thousands into stadiums, where worship blends music, preaching, and prayer with an energy that feels electric. Yet the old traditions remain just as powerful. Each year, millions walk in processions honoring Our Lady of Aparecida, Brazil's beloved patroness, her image carried through streets as hymns and prayers unite rich and poor, urban and rural alike. Brazil's bishops, long respected as moral authorities, speak with courage on issues such as deforestation, indigenous rights, and economic inequality, ensuring the Church's voice echoes in the nation's conscience. Catholic universities and schools continue to form leaders, while parish charities provide food, shelter, and solidarity for those living at society's margins. From the jungle to the megacity, from festive streets to quiet chapels, Brazil's Catholicism beats with a vitality that both preserves its heritage and shapes the nation's future. Number 8. Colombia. In Colombia, Catholicism is not simply a religion, but the thread that runs through the nation's long story of struggle and renewal. Nearly 9 out of 10 Colombians identify with the faith, making the church both a spiritual anchor and a moral guide in moments of crisis. During the country's decades of armed conflict, when violence tore communities apart, the church stood almost alone as a trusted mediator. Bishops and priests risked their lives to cross front lines, negotiate for hostages, and open fragile spaces where dialogue could begin. That legacy of courage gave Catholicism an authority that extended far beyond the sanctuary walls. As the guns fell silent, the church turned from survival to rebuilding. Its vast network of schools, universities, and hospitals reaches deep into rural regions where state institutions are often absent. There, classrooms replace despair with opportunity, and parish clinics offer care to those who would otherwise be forgotten. Development projects, from farming initiatives to literacy programs, root the gospel in daily life by restoring dignity and hope. Cultural devotion adds another layer of vitality. Holy Week processions in Popayan and Mompox draw multitudes, weaving centuries-old art, music, and ritual into living acts of worship. Marian devotion, especially to Our Lady of the Rosary of Chiquinquirá, gathers millions in prayer, while local festivals dedicated to patron saints unite neighbors in joy and solidarity. In Colombia, faith is not a Sunday obligation, but a force that heals, reconciles, and binds together a people who have learned that belief, lived with courage and compassion, can transform division into community. Number 9. South Korea. In one of the world's most modern and fast-paced nations, Catholicism has flourished with unexpected vitality. From a modest 500,000 believers in the 1960s, the church has grown to nearly 6 million today, a transformation marked not by passive inheritance, but by conviction, especially among adult converts who choose the faith with deliberate resolve. What draws so many Koreans is the church's blend of intellect and integrity. In a society where education is prized, Catholicism offers a coherent vision rooted in reason and moral clarity. Universities and schools shape generations of leaders, while hospitals and charities extend compassion to the sick, elderly, and marginalized. The church's role in defending human rights and standing with the oppressed has further cemented its credibility. Liturgy in Korea reflects both universality and local reverence. Gregorian hymns interwoven with Korean formality, processions marked by quiet dignity, and congregations deeply engaged. Growth is sustained not only from the altar, but through lay catechists, youth groups, and parish volunteers who carry the gospel into homes, workplaces, and public life. Amid the pressures of fierce competition and constant change, Catholicism in South Korea has become more than tradition. It is a steady refuge, a community where truth, dignity, and peace are not ideals but lived realities. Number 10. Argentina. Argentina remains one of South America's great Catholic heartlands, with nearly 9 out of 10 citizens tied to the faith. Though church life began to wane in the early 2000s, mirroring patterns elsewhere in the West, that decline was reversed in 2013 when the election of Pope Francis, the nation's own Jorge Mario Bergoglio, reignited pride and devotion. Since then, parishes have reported fuller pews and stronger engagement, not only at Sunday liturgies but in catechesis programs, volunteer work, and social missions. One of the clearest signs of this renewal is the wave of pilgrimages to the Basilica of Our Lady of Luján, Argentina's beloved patroness. Each year, thousands walk for miles to her shrine, blending personal devotion with national identity, making faith both spiritual and cultural heritage. Catholic schools, long a fixture of Argentine education, continue to shape generations, both those firmly practicing and those culturally linked to the church, ensuring that Catholic values remain influential in public life. In times of economic turmoil, when inflation and inequality strike hardest, the church stands near the poor. Bishops and priests raise their voices against corruption and neglect, while Catholic charities provide food, shelter, and education in rural provinces where state support is scarce. At the local level, parish churches often serve as lifelines, offering literacy classes, health clinics, and safe spaces for community gathering, all woven together with prayer and pastoral care. Inspired by their native pope and sustained by centuries of devotion, Argentines are rediscovering the church as more than a custodian of tradition. It is a living presence, shaping compassion and solidarity across the nation. What lessons do these stories of devotion and courage speak to you? How do they inspire your own journey of faith? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice may encourage someone else searching for hope today. If this video moved you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories that shine a light on the living power of faith around the world. And before you go, hold this close to your heart. Keep praying every day, in every season. Wherever life may lead you, remember that God walks beside you, guiding, protecting, and strengthening you at every step. If you enjoyed this journey of faith, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more inspiring stories.